What's up, everybody, and happy Black History Month. So today I am coming to talk to you about Fred Hampton. I read this book last year. It's a phenomenal book. I got hip to Fred Hampton. I had heard about him for years, but I had another conversation with my dad, and he was talking to me about how phenomenal Fred Hampton was. So I found this book. I got it on Amazon. I will link it below. The Assassination of Fred Hampton, updated edition by Fred Haas. If you're familiar with who Fred Hampton is, you know he was an amazing person. If you're not familiar with this book, I would highly recommend reading it. If you're not familiar with who Fred Hampton is, again, I would highly recommend getting this book to learn about this phenomenal person. And so I have so many highlights, and I can go on and on about this man in this book, but I'm just going to give you my typical 411 brief, but I'm going to read a couple pages from this book. So just to start, Fred never really woke up, she said. He was lying there when they pulled me out of the bedroom. She paused. And then I asked, 2 pigs went back to the bedroom. One of them said, he's barely alive. He'll barely make it. I heard 2 shots. Then I heard, he's good and dead now. Fred's fiancée looked at me with sad, swollen eyes. What can you do? I couldn't think of any reply. I couldn't bring Fred back to life. And so that is just an interview that happened between Fred's fiancée after the assassination and Jeffrey Haas, who is a lawyer. And then there's so much information in this book. And one thing you'll get from reading this book is the connection between Fred's family and Emmett Till's family. And so there's a section in here that talks about that relationship, but it says 14 years after Emmett's murder, thousands of Chicagoans would walk through the same Rayner funeral home to see Fred's body displayed. So Frederick Allen Hampton was born in Argo, Illinois in 1948. So he was assassinated by the police at the age of 21. He was assassinated by the Chicago police December 4th, 1969, while sleeping next to his pregnant fiancée. The Chicago police make the claim that they were serving a warrant for weapons at 4 a.m. Fred Hampton was a member of the Black Panther Party. He was also a revolutionary. He was an amazing orator. He was a civil rights activist and a man for the people. Fred was betrayed by William O'Neill, who infiltrated the Black Panther Party and sold Fred out to the Chicago police. So there's, like I said, there's so much information in this book. And again, I want to read some things so you all can get an idea of who Fred was, but also the Black Panther Party, because I feel like a lot of times people are misinformed about the Black Panther Party. They like to use the word militant, but these people came together to do what they can to protect their communities. And so they had a 10-point program. 1, freedom to determine the destiny of the Black community. Doesn't sound militant to me. Full employment for Blacks. An end to capitalist exploitation of Black community, decent housing, informed education, exemption for Black men from military service. Can you blame them? If you research our history, and yes, many Black men did serve in the United States military, but they came back to segregation. And I think that's where it comes from. And I'm not saying that I'm against the military, because my dad was in the military, my uncle was in the military, my brother was in the military. So I support our, men and women in the armed forces, but also you just have to understand their point of view as well. It's like, why serve in the military, go over there and kill people, and then come home and I'm disrespected and I'm not appreciated. So just keep perspective. 5, informed education. Exemption for Black men from military service. Sorry, guys. An end to police brutality and murder. Freedom for Black prisoners, Black juries for Black criminal defendants, and land, bread, housing, education, clothing, justice, and peace. So again, they just wanted to do what was right. They wanted to protect their people and basically give Black people what they were owed. And then it also says the Black Panthers in Oakland adopted Malcolm X's later position that while Black culture and Black history were beautiful and significant, not all whites were bad, and that whites could be allies as long as Blacks controlled the main policies and the agenda for action. And then one other thing I wanted to kind of piggyback off of to show you all, when I said that Fred was a man for the people, again, these are things that you're not going to hear about. You're just going to hear that he was this militant man and he was violent and he was pushing this agenda. Well, Ford told Fred he could be rich if he and the Panthers joined the Rangers' drug operation. Fred refused. He did not use drugs, and the Panther policy did not allow Panther members to use them. Drugs and alcohol were prohibited in the Panther office. The meeting ended with Ford acknowledging that the Panthers were not a rival gang, but still refusing to permit them to operate in Ranger territory. The meeting lessened tensions only slightly. Nevertheless, Fred's efforts to work with and organize gang members caused fear throughout the police and FBI. So, they were fearful that this man had the power to bring different communities together. Why would you be fearful of someone who's trying to bring peace, justice, equality to the underserved communities? So, let's see. In 1969, the YLO took over Reverend Bruce Johnson's church on Armitage Avenue and renamed it the People's Church. With Reverend Johnson's support, the church became the headquarters for the Lincoln Park Poor People's Coalition, which included Black, white, and Mexican groups who were fighting to keep Lincoln Park from being gentrified. So this is something that has been happening and going on for years and years and years in our communities. And this is just an example that shows people were trying to be unified. Following the Panther example, the YLO started a Breakfast for Children program as well as a health clinic in the church. The police were constantly harassing and arresting Cha-Cha for organizing the Puerto Rican community against the city's gentrification plan. For a period in 1969, Dennis went to court regularly to get him released on bond. So Dennis is one of the lawyers associated with Haas, who again is the writer of this book. The Panthers, Young Bloods, Young Patriots, an organization of white Southern youth from Uptown, formed their own Rainbow Coalition, a precursor to Jesse Jackson's, to protest police brutality and abuse in Chicago and support the Panther demand for community control of police. So this was in 1969. And again, Black people, we know our history. So, the George Floyds, the Ahmaud Arbery's, the Corinnes, just so many to name. Like, this has been going on and on and on. And it's good that other people are seeing the police brutality that we've been suffering from. But again, this has been going on and on and on in our communities. And that's why people are frustrated and upset. And then the last thing I wanted to, put out there is I had heard this term before. And then after reading this book, it made it real. So, COINTELPRO. The FBI acronym for a series of covert action programs directed against dissident groups with regard to large sectors of the Black movement. COINTELPRO's stated objectives were to expose, disrupt, misdirect, discredit, or otherwise neutralize the activities of Black nationalists, hate-type organizations, and groupings, their leadership, spokesmen, membership, and supporters. So basically, COINTELPRO was to attack anyone who wanted to speak up for the rights of Black people. And that was seen as a threat, trying to uplift the people. So again, I will put the description to Amazon for this book. I highly recommend it. So much respect to Fred Hampton, definitely gone too soon, a powerhouse. He was trying to do good in the community, and he is an unsung hero, so we need to make sure that we keep his memory alive. So until the next video, guys, thanks for watching, and peace out.